After learning she was a fake heiress, my elder sister disguised herself as a man to drown her sorrows in a brothel, but she accidentally entered the wrong room. She spent the night with Zhou Huaishu, who was there on a case. He was drugged and barely conscious, unable to remember who the woman was. All he recalled was that she claimed to be from the Cui clan of Qinghe. The Zhou family valued propriety, so Zhou Huaishu quickly proposed marriage. But my elder sister had already left. As luck would have it, I had gone looking for her that night and didn't return home until dawn. Mistaking me for her, he married me instead. It wasn't until our wedding night that he realized his mistake, and regret consumed him. He blamed me. If you hadn't been so vague, I would never have married you. Zhou Huaishu treated me with icy coldness. Yet in bed, he showed no mercy. I cried and begged, but he only covered my face and sneered. She would never be as cheap and wanton as you. Reborn on the day Zhou Huaishu came to propose, I said softly. That night, I was fast asleep and never left the house. My voice wasn't loud, but loud enough for everyone to hear. Zhou Huaishu furrowed his brows, as if stunned. My mother quietly tugged at my hand. She remembered clearly. That night, when her elder sister learned that she was not a biological daughter of the Cui family, she went back to her room without even eating lunch. It wasn't until the evening that the serving maid said the eldest young lady had gone missing. She feared harming her elder sister's reputation. She only sent trusted servants to search discreetly, and I went out to look as well. We didn't return to the residence until dawn. She always had to take more care regarding her elder sister's affairs. The Cui family's eldest daughter was clever and lively, well-liked, but the second daughter was a blockhead.
She didn't know why I had to lie.
Zhou Huaishu was handsome, came from a good family, and held an important position at a young age. If I missed him, I would never find a better match. But mother didn't know that the one he was seeking wasn't me. When Zhou Huaishu came to propose, he only said, "That night at Willow Lane, he happened to see the young lady of your household and fell in love at first sight. He had ruined the girl's purity, so he couldn't ruin her reputation further. So he didn't mention the brothel where they met, and deliberately chose Willow Lane near the brothel. I didn't know the inside story, and believed it to be true. I mistook the woman he had fallen for at first sight as myself, and that gave rise to all kinds of resentment. I pressed my lips together and lifted my face. Lord Zhou was captivated by the woman in Willow Lane at first sight. Take another look. Does she bear my features? Zhou Huaishu studied my face carefully. My elder sister and I look completely different. She is stunningly beautiful, unforgettable at first glance. In contrast, I appear quite plain. In Zhou Huaishu's blurry memory, the woman that night was soft and alluring. He could find no trace of her in my insipid face. Realizing he had the wrong person, his eyes dimmed, and he prepared to take his leave. Mother hesitated in her gaze, but finally spoke. I have an older daughter as well. She must be the one you're looking for. I lowered my eyes and quietly slipped out of the flower hall. Mother truly favored my elder sister more. Before her death, the true daughter's foster mother confessed in guilt that she had swapped her own child with the Cui family's daughter. When she came to the family to seek her roots, mother only scrutinized me. After all, how could a daughter as plain and dull as I be her biological child? Unfortunately, this illusion shattered when the true daughter revealed her age. My elder sister's eyes reddened. The mother just hugged her, softly comforting her. Whether you are biological or not, you are still my daughter. The real daughter watched coldly, her attitude resolute. Only one of the true and false daughters can stay. The mother was truly torn. She couldn't bear to part with the fake daughter she had raised and loved dearly. But the father refused to let his own blood be left outside. The elder sister, unwilling to cause her parents distress, left on her own.
Now,
the mother gave her answer. The elder sister was brought back by her mother 2 days later. She had been away for just over a month, but she seemed like a different person. She had lost much weight, her face haggard, dressed in coarse cloth and simple hairpins, yet she now had the air of a sickly beauty. The mother felt even more for her, hugging her and crying, calling her Bao Bao. Zhou Huaishu soon came calling again. He finally saw the elder sister again, finding the Mylan fairy who had haunted his dreams. The two quickly became engaged. Zhou Huaishu also became a regular guest at the Cui residence. He often visited, bringing the elder sister all sorts of novel trinkets. Even I benefited from it. Mother pointed at the begonia pearl flower and said to my elder sister with a smile, "Why, Su truly has you in his heart. He specially picked out hair ornaments for you and didn't forget to bring one for Ali." My elder sister covered her mouth and chuckled shyly. "He is very thoughtful." I stared at the pearl flower, somewhat lost in thought. It was the same as the one he gave me in my past life. He said he saw it by chance, and it reminded him of me. He thought I would look beautiful wearing it. Back then, I was overjoyed. He was the first person who had ever kept me in his heart. But now I understand. The pearl flower is the most common design, nowhere near the carefully chosen hair ornaments he gave my elder sister. In my past life, he was already dissatisfied when he found me, which was why he was so perfunctory. That was why he was so troubled when he saw the fallen petals. My elder sister blushed from mother's teasing and quickly turned the conversation to me. "Ning, this flower suits you. Put it on and see," she said, pretending to pin it in my hair. I turned my head away. I don't like begonias. My elder sister's hand froze in midair, and her face grew awkward. Her eyes shimmered with moisture, as if she might cry at any moment. Mother cast an impatient glance at me. Ungrateful.
Mingzhu meant well.
She embraced her eldest sister to comfort her, not sparing me another glance. I suppose I truly can't stand this sight of mother-daughter affection. When I spoke up, it spoiled the mood again. In a few more days, it will be a full month. The room fell silent for a moment. Mother was somewhat taken aback, as if she had truly forgotten. Tears welled up in my eldest sister's eyes, threatening to spill. Before the real daughter left, she laid down the words. She would only give a month to consider. After a month, she would visit again. If the fake daughter had not left, she would never set foot in the Cui household again in this lifetime. And Cui Mingzhu would return to the mansion. All these matters of her betrothal to Zhou Huaixu were kept from her. I brought up the matter of the real daughter. It caused my eldest sister to burst into tears, and she caught a high fever that very night. The household was thrown into chaos. When Zhou Huaixu got the news, he was still handling a case on the outskirts of the city. He rushed over without even changing his clothes. He arrived travel-worn, with stubble on his chin. The usual image of a refined young master completely vanished in his concern for Cui Mingzhu. Zhou Huaixu's heart was with my eldest sister. He walked so hastily that he bumped into me, nearly making me stumble. He was the carefully groomed heir of the Zhou family, usually composed and steady in his actions. I still lost my composure in front of Cui Mingzhu. In the 3rd year of my marriage to him, my mother still brought Cui Mingzhu back to the mansion. She hadn't been doing well. Her husband died young, and she had a child. I was pregnant, but the pregnancy was unstable. My mother brought Cui Mingzhu to see me. Her young son was mischievous, and in his roughhousing, he knocked me to the ground. Blood flowed from beneath me, staining the ground red. Zhou Huaixu didn't even frown. He calmly ordered the servants to help me back to my room. The doctor was called, but the child was lost. I lay numbly on the bed, staring at the bed curtains, tears streaming from the corners of my eyes. Drop by drop, they soaked the pillow. Zhou Huaixu's tone was ordinary. "The child is innocent. This baby just came at the wrong time." "Don't blame others," he said. Cui Mingzhu's child was innocent, but my child had come at the wrong time. He never considered that I was innocent too. It wasn't as if I had sought him out to marry him, nor had I intentionally taken over Cui Mingzhu's identity. Why was I the only one to blame? Was it just because I wasn't Cui Mingzhu? The medicine the doctor prescribed was bitter. Cui Mingzhu had been spoiled since childhood. She refused to take medicine. To coax her, my mother tried every trick in the book and ended up spending a lot of money to buy the recipe for preserved fruit. Only then did she agree to take the medicine, but making this preserved fruit was extremely time-consuming and required constant attention. If one was not careful, the flavor would change. My mother had never been patient, yet she refused to delegate the task to others. So she handed it all over to me. Ever since my elder sister fell ill with fever, the nanny attending to my mother would wake me up. She delivered my mother's message. "Mingzhu fell ill because of you, and she hates bitterness. You are to prepare fresh preserved fruit for her every day as an apology." I stayed up all night making the preserved fruit, yet my elder sister still refused to take her medicine. My mother thought I hadn't put in enough effort and punished me by ordering another batch. The kitchen was filled with the sweet aroma of preserved fruit. But I found it cloying. After my miscarriage, my body was weakened and the doctor prescribed many bitter medicines. I couldn't swallow them. Zhou Huaishu, for once, softened his temper toward me. He held out preserved fruit to coax me. The moment I tasted it, I knew it was the same kind my elder sister loved, just as sweet and soft. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't suppress the bitterness of the herbal medicine, which made me gag. I stuffed one candied fruit after another into my mouth, the ones my elder sister had left untouched. The sweetness spread in my mouth, yet the root of my tongue still tasted the bitterness of the medicine. That medicine was truly too bitter. I bent over, dry heaving, tears smearing my face. Through blurred vision, a pair of black boots appeared before me. I looked up and saw Zhou Huaishu's eyes, full of disgust and annoyance. I had seen that look countless times before. On the bed, he always wore that expression as he covered my face. He ravaged me without a hint of pity, and when I begged for mercy, he coldly spat out the most cutting words. The painful memories of my past life made my body tremble involuntarily. Zhou Huaishu looked down at me, his tone as disgusted as ever. Although Mingzhu is not your biological sister, she has been your sister for all these years. Can't you bear to see her well off? If there's a next time, he coldly stepped closer. I backed away in fear, nearly falling, but luckily, a pair of hands with thin calluses steadily held me up. I turned to look. It was the true heiress, her face cold. But her hands were warm. She shielded me behind her, meeting Zhou Huaishu's gaze without fear. If there is a next time, what will you do? Zhou Huaishu did not recognize her and said impatiently, "What does it have to do with you?" The true heiress retorted, "What does Cui Mingzhu's illness have to do with her?" Zhou Huaishu's voice was cold. If she hadn't said those harsh words, how would Mingzhu have become so distressed? The true heiress sneered. She mercilessly mocked. Cui Mingzhu being distressed by a few words is because she is too narrow-minded. You should advise her to broaden her mind, instead of bullying others here. Zhou Huaishu's face turned livid. He seemed not to expect the true heiress to speak so harshly. You are just being unreasonable, confusing right and wrong."
With that,
He was about to leave, but was stopped by the true heiress. "Apologize." Zhou Huaishu ignored her completely. He still tried to leave. The true heiress kicked him, and Zhou Huaishu was already half kneeling on the ground. Her voice turned colder. "Apologize." Zhou Huaishu frowned but refused to speak. The real young miss grabbed him by the hair. Forcing him to look up at her, she said, "I thought Lord Zhou was such a formidable figure, but it turns out you're just a showy cushion. Today, if you don't apologize, don't expect to leave." "What are you doing?" Mother's stern rebuke cut off the real young miss's words. Before she could speak, Cui Mingzhu broke free from Mother's embrace and lunged at Zhou Huaishu, who was kneeling on the ground. Cui Mingzhu lifted her face, crying bitterly. "Changpu, if you hold a grudge against me, take it out on me. How has Master Zhou offended you that you must humiliate him like this?" Mother's heart ached for Cui Mingzhu, but she didn't forget to cast a disappointed look at me and the real young miss. "Changpu, if you and Mingzhu were switched, it was because of your vile foster mother. Mingzhu was just an innocent baby then. She is blameless too. Why must you resent her? Changpu and Mingzhu, one is a lowly cattail, the other a precious pearl in the palm." Cui Mingzhu's accusations and the mother's disappointed rebuke filled her ears. Changpu stood tall with a straight back, still expressionless. She looked at them coldly, as if indifferent, and asked calmly, "Are you done?" Seeing no one spoke, she continued, "If you're done, it's my turn. The 1-month period is up. I already know your answer." Mother still tried to hold her back. "Changpu, having one more daughter in the Cui family won't affect you. Why must you be so ruthless?" She suddenly smiled. "The Cui family doesn't lack a daughter. Why should I stay and be an eyesore? We have little affection for each other. From now on, let's treat each other as strangers. Why put yourself in a difficult position?" Her words were utterly heartless. A flicker of hurt appeared in Mother's eyes. "You are my daughter. How could you say such things to hurt me?" Changpu remained expressionless. "Madam Cui, be careful with your words. Changpu is but a commoner, not worthy of causing you heartache." Mother looked at her in disbelief, as if truly hurt, her eyes reddening. "You are the child I carried for 10 months.
Changpu looked at me.
She is also your child, carried for 10 months, yet I never see you show her any affection." My mother instinctively retorted, "I gave birth to her, raised her, and let her live a life of luxury. Ask her how I haven't treated her well." A hint of mockery curled at the corner of Changpu's mouth. "Is that so?" Her words seemed directed at no one in particular. I opened my mouth. I wanted to say something, but couldn't. Should I say that my mother actually treated me well? But did she really? I thought for a long time. In my memories, she rarely smiled at me. Most of the time, there was only reproach. Changpu patted the top of my head and sighed. "You don't actually love her. If you loved her, you wouldn't bully her." I lowered my head, eyes stinging, heart aching. I had been dull-witted since childhood, even after living 2 lives. Some answers still eluded me. My mother, Zhou Huaishu, they were supposed to be the people closest to me. Both were smarter than me, yet they could ignore right and wrong and blame me. Now, I have finally found the answer. Love is unreasonable protection.
But they don't love me.
And because they don't love me, they can blame me without guilt. Bullying me. Changpu's voice wasn't loud, but it carried weight. Mother couldn't speak anymore. She knew Changpu was telling the truth. She didn't love this plain-featured, slow-witted daughter. Changpu took me and left the kitchen. I let her pull me along until she brought me back to the courtyard. Changpu took out a handkerchief and wiped away my tears. Her voice was gentle. "They bully you, but you cannot bully yourself." I looked up at her. I didn't quite understand what she meant. She smiled. "You see, since they don't love you, why bother trying to please them in everything?" I bit my lip. This was the first time someone had said such words to me. I had thought that by pleasing Mother and obeying her, she would share some of the care she gave to Mingzhu with me. But Changpu said, "This is bullying you, and even you are bullying yourself. They don't love you, but you cannot stop loving yourself." Changpu's words struck my heart, deafeningly loud. She finished and was about to leave, but I reached out and grabbed her hand. This hand wasn't particularly beautiful. Its palm was covered with calluses, and there were scars on the back. Not as soft and delicate as a girl, but especially warm. "Sister, can you take me with you?" She raised an eyebrow in surprise. "You want to follow me? Do you know where I'm going?" I nodded. "I know. I want to go to war with you." Calamus was taken aback, then burst out laughing. "How strange. I've never mentioned this to anyone. How do you know?" I lowered my head, not daring to meet her eyes, and whispered, "I know." In her past life, Calamus had gone to the battlefield. She was formidable, winning many battles and becoming a female general. No man could compare to her. Yet father and mother always said she was no good. They said she hadn't been raised in the mansion, so she didn't care about blood ties at all, and only wanted her to help her younger brother. Such a trivial matter, and she won't help. Then they'd scold me for being useless, unable to win my husband's heart. I was always timid before my parents, but I don't know where I found the courage to talk back. "She did nothing wrong. You are the ones in the wrong." Although I am slow-witted, I understand that her military achievements were won through mountains of corpses and seas of blood. My younger brother wanted to be an official. Why didn't he take the imperial exams himself or go to war like Heiress? Father flew into a rage at that, not caring that I was a married daughter. He raised his hand and slapped me hard. Mother also called me an ingrate. They said, "Since you're so eager to please her, then don't consider us your parents from now on." They were truly furious, even knowing I was bedridden with illness. They never came to see me again, acting as if they had no such daughter. On the contrary, Heiress, when she heard I was gravely ill, sent someone to deliver a branch of ginseng to me, along with a letter saying that after she finished fighting and drove away the barbarians, she would come back to see me. But I was too useless. I couldn't hold out until her return. As my eyes were closing, Heiress's letter arrived. Unfortunately, I no longer had the strength to read it. I don't even know if Heiress finally drove the barbarians away. Heiress knew I wasn't telling the truth, but she didn't press me. She just sat calmly at the table, poured herself a cup of tea, and said, "I can take you to the northwest." Before I could even feel happy, she spoke again. "But you need to tell me what use you are if I bring you along. You know I'm going to war. I'm not going for comfort. If you're useless, bringing you would just be adding a burden." She was blunt. Marching and fighting is no joke. If I was useless, Insisting on going with her would only drag her down. I tugged at my clothes. I know how to bandage wounds and have some knowledge of medicine. Her fingers tapped lightly on the table. That counts as a merit. I thought for a moment. I can cook. Changpu nodded. Barely passable. Pack your things. We leave tomorrow. I looked at her joyfully. I turned to pack. Seeing me dump all the jewelry from my dowry chest, Changpu grabbed my hand. Why are you bringing these? In war, you certainly won't need jewelry. But I know the Northwest has harsh sandstorms. Supplies are scarce. In my past life, I heard that in the toughest times, they'd eat guanine clay to fill their stomachs. I don't have great abilities. Even with good intentions, I can't help much. Zhou, Huaishu doesn't love me. The household finances were tightly controlled by my mother-in-law, so I could only convert all my private savings into grain and transport it to the Northwest. Though it was a drop in the bucket, it was still my humble contribution. I proudly brought a pure gold hairpin before her eyes. Look, this is solid gold. It's very valuable. You can pawn it for military funds. Changpu's expression was complicated. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. In the end, she turned her head away and softly hummed in acknowledgement. Before leaving the mansion, she asked me quietly, "Do you want to go bid them farewell?" The them she referred to were my father and mother. I lowered my head and thought for a moment. No need. Father has always only cared about the male heirs of the family. He used to pay a bit more attention to Cui Ning. But ever since he learned she wasn't his biological daughter, he stopped caring. Mother doesn't love me. Whether I'm here or not, she wouldn't care either. After marching for half a month, we finally arrived at the Northwest. The wind and sand blasted against our faces, stinging painfully. Changpu took out a small jar from her bosom, took out some ointment, and applied it to my face. This is not like the capital. It's bound to be more arduous. If you can't get used to it, I will take you to another place. Her voice was very low, and her movements were not gentle. I shook my head and smiled at her. Sister, I want to stay with you. She was startled for a moment, then said, All right. I leaned close to her ear and whispered, I secretly bought some meat. Later, I'll find a way to cook it for you. Changpu smiled and leaned close to my ear. Having a private meal? You have to be careful. It wouldn't be good if others find out. The Northwest nights are dry and cold. Although Changpu is formidable, she is still a woman. Mutton is nourishing. I was thinking of making mutton soup to ward off the cold for her. The small clay pot of snowy white mutton soup bubbled with steam. Changpu returned with a chill. I was about to hand the soup to her. Then I saw that there was actually another person behind her. The young man had a handsome appearance, dragon-like features and phoenix-like bearing, no less than those noble sons in the capital. He wore ordinary armor, making his identity unclear. He acted as if he were not an outsider at all. Miss Cui, give me a bowl too, it's so cold outside. I looked at Changpu in confusion. Seeing her nod, I handed a bowl to him. Changpu introduced him to me, saying he was my deputy general named Xie Zhan. Xie Zhan finished the soup in a few gulps. He praised me endlessly. Miss Cui, your cooking is superb. I would die content even right now. He said it in an exaggerated and humorous tone. I couldn't help but laugh, but Changpu shot him a glare. Don't talk nonsense. He slapped his forehead, took out a jade pendant, and pressed it into my hand. The first time I meet Miss Cui, I get to drink a bowl of your soup. I don't have anything valuable on me. Please don't mind it. I was not used to accepting gifts from others and wanted to return it, but he had already left. Changpu said the jade pendant Xie Zhan gave me was left by his mother. It was my first meeting with Xie Zhan, yet I had accepted something so precious from him. So I planned to return it the next day, but before dawn, the bugle sounded. It was a signal of enemy attack. Changpu gave me some instructions and left the tent into the cold wind. The battle lasted 2 days and 2 nights, causing countless casualties. When Changpu returned, he was covered in the smell of blood. She had many injuries, but fortunately none were fatal. After applying medicine for her, I went to help. There were military doctors in the camp, but there were too many wounded soldiers to handle. After bandaging one, I was about to treat the next, but I was stopped. I looked up and met Xie Zhan's eyes. He seemed a bit awkward.
Cui Ning, he said.
Don't help me. I can manage on my own. The uncle beside laughed heartily. Miss Cui, our Vice General Xie is shy. I didn't care what he thought. Before me, he was just a wounded soldier. I forcefully grabbed his arm. Stop wasting time. He settled down and let me apply medicine. Before leaving, I returned the jade pendant to him. My sister told me, "This was left by your mother. Don't give it away so easily." He lowered his eyes. "This is what my mother left for my future wife. But the battlefield is merciless. I might die any day. Miss Cui, keep it. Consider it payment for meals. Whenever you cook something delicious, make a portion for me. All right?" I glared at him. "Don't talk nonsense. If you want to eat, just tell me. Keep the jade pendant. You'll find a use for it when the time comes." Since then, Xie Zhan indeed stopped being polite, often coming to find me every few days, never empty-handed. He would bring either fresh beef and lamb, or fresh vegetables. They were not as luxurious as the jewelry and silk from the capital, but they suited my tastes perfectly. In this life, Changpu had become even more formidable, attaining the position of general earlier. When she once again routed the enemy, the capital unusually sent 2 letters, one from my mother to me and one from her father to her. In the letter, my mother first scolded me for leaving without saying goodbye, then said I should advise Changpu more since I was by her side. She mentioned Cui Ning, writing at length across 2 pages. She said that Cui Ning married Zhou Huaishu shortly after we left. The two were deeply in love. Zhou Huaishu doted on her in every way, and soon she gave birth to a child. Then, as she wrote, she changed the subject, saying I was getting older and should consider marriage. She thought there was a suitable family that could help my younger brother in the future. Changpu saw my expression turn sour. Taking the letter, she glanced at it, gave a light scoff, and said, "No need to bother with them." With a flick of her fingers, the letter paper followed the unopened one into the brazier. The flames quickly licked at them, and in an instant, they turned to ashes. Those 2 letters didn't change our lives at all. Later, my mother sent 2 more, rambling on about trivial matters, and how she was worried and troubled over Cui Ning. That night at the flower house, Cui Ning had conceived Zhou Huaishu's child. The Zhou family upheld strict moral standards. Fearing the scandal would be exposed, they hastily married Cui Ning off. But Madame Zhou disliked her. She thought an unmarried girl who could secretly conceive a man's child couldn't be a proper young lady. She'd also heard that Cui Ning had driven the true legitimate daughter and the second young lady out of the house, and that Zhou Huaishu cherished her like a treasure. So she couldn't stand the sight of her and made things difficult for her at every turn. Cui Ning, having been pampered since childhood, couldn't bear such grievances. She complained to Zhou Huaishu every day, caught between his mother and his pregnant wife. Zhou Huaishu was caught in a dilemma, so he could only use official business as an excuse to avoid returning home. In her past life, Madame Zhou used Zhou Huaishu's neglect of me
To impose rules on me.
My mother-in-law only said that day, "As a daughter-in-law, it is only right for you to serve your mother-in-law." But when it came to Cui Ning, her words were full of concern. She even asked me, almost pleading, to write a letter stating that I had left the house out of willfulness. I threw the letter into the stove without expression, not a single ripple in my heart. The chicken soup I had been stewing for Calamus was ready. I had to deliver it to her while it was still hot. Just as I entered the camp, I saw Calamus's face, so dark it could drip water. I handed her the bowl. "Sister, what's wrong?" When she saw it was me, her expression softened a little. The court sent Zhou Huaishu to escort the supplies. I didn't expect him to come, and I was somewhat surprised for a moment. Calamus sneered, "That useless piece. Not only was he captured by the enemy, but he also lost the supplies." Selfishly, I didn't want Calamus to go rescue Zhou Huaishu. It was his incompetence that got him captured by the enemy, yet others had to risk themselves for him. But as it happened, he also lost the supplies. Changpu saw the worry on my face and rubbed my cheek. "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing," she said, but I was still worried. Having been in the Northwest for a long time, charging into the enemy camp was no easy feat. It almost meant putting one's life on the line. No matter how skilled Changpu was, she was still mortal and would bleed and get hurt. She returned on the evening of the 3rd day. The setting sun dyed her silver armor red. I ran toward her, wanting to check if she was injured. Changpu smiled at me and said, "I'm fine." Knowing she was okay, I felt a bit more at ease. Xie Zhan had gone with her, but I didn't see him. I looked left and right. Only then did I notice someone hanging on the horse at the very back. I hurriedly ran toward that person, but Changpu saw what I was thinking. She grabbed me and said, "That's not a Zhan." This mission went smoothly, no one was hurt, and the supplies were recovered. I finally felt completely relieved. As long as no one was hurt, it was fine. Changpu had a smile on her lips. "Everyone is fine. It's just that Lord Zhou had bad luck and suffered a minor injury." I nodded casually, not too concerned. Akrasa's smile grew even wider. Azan said he found something good, so we can have a special meal tonight. I immediately became excited. To celebrate this victory without casualties, Heiress rewarded everyone with meat in the evening, and I made ginger soup for the soldiers. I added plenty of sugar, so the taste wasn't too bad. The nights in the northwest are cold. Drinking a bowl of hot ginger soup would be much more comfortable. Zhou Huaishu also received a bowl. He held it and stared at me blankly. "Aining you?" I frowned slightly, ignored him, and turned to serve the next person. The memories Zhou Huaishu brought me were all bad. I didn't want to talk to him more. There was nothing to say. Not to mention past lives. In this life, I have nothing to do with him. After I finished distributing the soup and was about to return to the tent, Zhou Huaishu, dragging his broken leg, blocked my way. His voice was hoarse. "Aining." I turned to leave, but he grabbed my wrist tightly. I have something to tell you." His grip was strong, but I still shook him off. Since arriving in the northwest, I feared dragging Calamus down, so whenever she trained troops, I followed along. I wasn't exceptionally skilled, but I was much more agile than before. I hurried away, but he refused to let go. Limping behind me, he said, "Ning, I regret it. I wish it had been you that night." I ignored him. His voice was mournful, as if he were about to cry. "Do you know? I had a dream," he said. "In the dream, it was you who married me." I covered my ears, unwilling to listen. I didn't know if Zhou Huaishu had also been reborn, but I didn't want to repeat the same mistakes. Zhou Huaishu's voice suddenly stopped. I instinctively looked back, but Xie Zhan gently held my head. He brought the basket in his hand before me. "Look, what is this?" he asked. I was quickly drawn in. The basket was filled with fresh fruit. He smiled. "I specially found these for you. Do you like them?" Fresh fruit was extremely rare in the northwest, and such fresh ones must have taken great effort. I had mentioned it casually once. I never expected he would remember. I just felt my eyes grow hot, something I sought in vain in the capital. In the northwest, however, flowers were blooming everywhere. Seeing me cry, Xie Zhan seemed at a loss. He clumsily wiped my tears with his sleeve. "Is it that you don't like this?" "It's okay. Next time I'll find you something better." I looked up at him. "Thank you, Xie Zhan." He finally smiled. "It's nothing. What do you want?" "No matter how much effort it takes, I can find it for you," he said, then grew a bit dejected. "Although these things aren't worth much, they're far worse than the life you had before." I shook my head. "It's very good. I really like it. Really." Zhou Huaishu's legs were completely crippled. Calamus said this with a hint of schadenfreude. She rarely showed such an expression. It seemed that Zhou Huaishu was too annoying, which led Calamus to this attitude. Zhou Huaishu was the next head of the Zhou family. Now that his legs were crippled and he had lost the supplies, it seemed that after returning to the capital, he might not even be able to hold his official position. The weather was getting colder, and the frequency of enemy incursions was increasing. Calamus was going to sleep later and later. She stared at the sand table every day, the worry between her brows tied into a tight knot. I wasn't clever enough to help her. The only thing I could do was brew her a bowl of warming soup at night. On an ordinary night in early autumn, the enemy forces launched another attack with overwhelming force. This battle lasted a long time, from autumn into winter. Every soldier in the camp bore fresh wounds. The battlefield was strewn with corpses, blood seeping into the ground, dyeing the yellow sand crimson. As the food in the city dwindled, the enemy grew more ferocious. The common people were so hungry they gnawed on tree bark. In my past life, I knew the Northwest saw frequent wars, and that the defending soldiers had it hard. But only now, experiencing it firsthand, did I understand the dire straits Changpu was in. She had grown much thinner. The armor hung loose on her frame. Yet her gaze remained firm. "We will surely win." Once again, the bugle sounded, and the enemy was repelled. I rushed forward to meet her, but Changpu was nowhere to be seen. The deputy general said she and Xie Zhan had gone missing with a small squad. I fear the worst, but I don't believe it. Heiress is too formidable to die so easily. She's missing. Without finding her body, she's not dead. Countless died on the battlefield, and I followed the military doctor to tend the wounded. I forcefully suppressed all my grim speculations with busy work. Just as I was about to collapse from exhaustion, I saw Heiress carrying the injured Xie Zhan back. Xie Zhan took an arrow for Heiress and was severely wounded, needing bed rest. Heiress and Xie Zhan led 2 squads deep into the enemy camp. They burned the enemy's supplies, forcing them to retreat and lifting the siege around the city. To thank Xie Zhan, I volunteered to take care of him. He was badly hurt, with no inch of skin unmarred. Crying, I applied medicine to his wounds. He winced in pain but still tried to comfort me. Don't cry, don't cry. It doesn't hurt. I thanked him. Xie Zhan, thank you for saving my sister. He smiled openly. We're comrades in arms. It's only right. Besides, Heiress is your sister, and she's my sister too. He took out the jade pendant from before. Cui Ning, I've cherished you for a long time. Will you marry me? I wiped away my tears. First, ask my sister. Spring passed and autumn came. The fighting went on for 7 or 8 years. Countless people died. Changpu finally drove them back completely, forcing them to submit. The emperor was overjoyed. He praised Changpu, saying she was a woman who outshone men. She was granted a marquis title at her young age, basking in boundless glory. On the day she entered the capital to receive the title, the weather was fine. Changpu, clad in silver armor, rode a majestic red-headed horse. She was awe-inspiring. The long street was lined with commoners on both sides. Everyone praised this female war god. Even the scholars and literati who used to look down on women now admired her, saying, in the sleeves of a woman's robe, she holds the military tally. Why must a general be a man? Even though I had married Xie Zhan, Changpu remained the most formidable person in my heart. I stood among the crowd watching her. Across 2 lifetimes, I finally witnessed her glory with my own eyes. Not far away, a woman was cursing and shoving a drunkard. The woman looked familiar. After staring for a long time, I realized it was Cui Ning. The drunkard was Zhou Huaishu. Sensing my gaze, they both looked at me, but they quickly looked away. After becoming a cripple, Zhou Huaishu was dejected and drowned his sorrows in drink every day. Old Madame Zhou blamed Cui Ning, believing that marrying her had ruined Zhou Huaishu. Cui Ning never imagined her husband would end up like this. She quarreled with him daily and had initially wanted a divorce. But no one stood up for her. Changpu never paid any attention to her father, and he blamed Cui Ning for their daughter's estrangement. He forbade her from calling herself a daughter of the Cui family. Cui Ning had no choice but to make do with her life. After Changpu returned to the capital, her father visited in person but was still turned away at the door. He didn't dare offend Changpu, but wanted to curry favor with her. Knowing that I was close to Changpu, he tried to use me as a go-between. I looked at my parents, now gray-haired, and felt that their once imposing and tall figures had become hunched. My father said to me, "We are all family." Blood ties. I felt them like a spring breeze passing my ears, without a ripple. My mother met my calm gaze, and tears fell. Cui Ning, are you truly not acknowledging your parents? You used to be the most obedient child. How have you become like this now? I said softly, "Mother, I just don't want to be bullied anymore." She sobbed uncontrollably. Cui Ning, I actually love you too.
I didn't speak again.
She might love me, but this love is not abundant. Now I have my sister, my husband, people who love me wholeheartedly. Those scant loves that I can barely remember are no longer important. My father didn't get the result he wanted, and in the end, he pointed at me and called me an ungrateful wretch. You'll get your comeuppance sooner or later. I ignored him. He had never regarded his daughter as important. What difference does acknowledging or not make? Before leaving the capital, I sent 2 chests of gold and silver to the Cui residence. From now on, I will live in the northwest and never return to the capital. This money, it all serves to settle all past grievances between me and my parents. As for more, Cui Ning is dull and inarticulate, unable to give.
Xie Zhan asked me.
The northwest cannot compare to the capital. Do you regret it? I looked at the person beside me, and my sister before me. Where the heart finds peace is home. With the people I love, anywhere is my home. Changpu side story. I knew from a young age that I was the least favored child in the family. Mother would sew clothes for my elder brother and younger sister, but not for me. She mostly beat and scolded me, even though I had done nothing wrong. At that time, I didn't understand why, as her child like the others, she treated me this way alone. It wasn't that she didn't know how to be a mother or how to love a child. She just didn't love me. At 13 years old, Mother wanted to sell me to get money for my elder brother's wife. For the first time in my life, I resisted her and ran away. I ran far away, far enough that they couldn't find me. Luckily, I was strong and could support myself. I carried sandbags at the dock. Others carried one bag. I could carry 3. It was tiring, but no one beat me. That was fine. I thought life would go on like this until I met a fellow villager who said my mother had fallen ill. She had a very hard time. Her brother drove her out of the house, leaving her to fend for herself. Her sister married and no longer associated with her. I thought about it all night. I should have felt relieved, but I still felt sad. I wanted to ask her why she treated me this way. I went back. She was starving to death. I fed her a bowl of congee. She looked at me with complex emotions in her eyes. I asked her why she treated me like this, but she never spoke. She only said she was sorry to me. She was my mother. After all, I couldn't watch her die. I called a doctor for her. I took care of her myself, but she was already at death's door, beyond saving. On her deathbed, whether out of guilt or something else, she finally spoke. She said, I was not her child. When she was young, she worked for a wealthy family. The lady of the house and she were pregnant at the same time. She had a scheme and swapped the 2 children. Only then did I understand that this was the reason she treated me so. My foster mother closed her eyes before she could tell me where my biological parents were. I looked at her corpse, my heart feeling empty. I returned to the place where I worked. Fortunate enough to be noticed by a benefactor and brought into the army, I confessed to him that I was a woman, and he only hesitated for a moment, then laughed heartily. He said that marching and fighting only required skill, not gender. I followed him through many battles, earning merits and promotions step by step through solid work. At first, some didn't accept me, believing a woman couldn't handle great responsibilities, but they couldn't defeat me in the army. Fists rule. However, after experiencing battle after battle, crawling out from mountains of corpses and seas of blood time and time again, watching my comrades write letters to their parents and loved ones, I began to feel a sense of loneliness. I asked someone to help me find my family. I knew my birth family was wealthy and came from a prominent household with many rules, where women likely weren't allowed to show themselves in public. I had no intention of returning to enjoy their riches. I just hoped someone could leave a farewell letter for me. Finally, I found them. The household had 2 daughters. The noblewoman was tightly embracing a beautiful and delicate young girl, while casting her gaze to the side, toward the quiet and timid one. I said, I am 17 years old now. The lady's expression shifted again. The girl in her arms was sobbing uncontrollably, and the entire manor fell into chaos. I looked at Cui Ning in the corner, and felt she was just like me when I was young. Even the daughter raised by my side couldn't compare to Cui Mingzhu. Clearly, whether I came back or not didn't matter much. I didn't know if I wanted to vent for Cui Ning or for myself as a child. I set a condition and gave them time. Only one of the real and fake daughters could stay. Unexpectedly, my biological father cared about bloodline and chose me. Cui Mingzhu left on her own, and Cui Ning married. I saw him once, a good-looking fellow. But Madame Cui said she had good fortune and married a fine husband, so I suppose her future won't be bad. Leaving the capital, I went to the northwest. After several brushes with death, I earned myself the title of general. Lord Cui didn't actually approve when he learned I was going to war. He said a woman should stay home and be content, but I didn't listen. Apart from blood, he and I had no other connection. We had a falling out, but once he knew I became a general, his letters came one after another. Over and over. He urged me to help the male heirs of the family. I didn't refuse outright. When I said it was based on skill, he got angry and started cursing me. I couldn't be bothered to argue with him. This family is worse than having none at all. I heard that Cui Ning was ill. She's one of the few people in the Cui household I don't dislike. After thinking it over, I sent her a ginseng root out of sympathy, never expecting that this very route would save my life when I was at my wit's end. At a time when the Northwest was cut off from supplies, a cartload of grain arrived from the capital, delivered by a group of mercenary escorts. They said it was sent by the young mistress of the Zhou family. It took me a while to realize that Cui Ning's husband's surname was Zhou. I couldn't think of anyone else. With that cart of grain, we won the battle. Unfortunately, I still died. I fell on the battlefield, pierced by 1,000 arrows. Before dying, I entrusted my final letter to Xie Zhan, telling him it was for my younger sister. I begged him to deliver it. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day of the family reunion. As always, it was unbearable. Having lived through one rebirth, I had no more energy to fight with them. I needed to plan ahead before everything happened. The day before I left for the Northwest, I thought of Cui Ning and decided to go see her. This life is somewhat different. The one who should have become Cui Mingzhu has returned, and Zhou Huaishu, who should have been Cui Ning's husband, is now aggressively confronting Cui Ning. I owed Cui Ning a favor, so I helped her. But she said she wanted to go to war with me. I didn't know where she heard it. She didn't tell me the reason, and I didn't pry. I only asked her what use it would be. In truth, I had already made up my mind to take her with me. But the battlefield is ruthless with blades. I didn't intend to bring her along. Going would only be a burden. The young girl cheerfully packed her bags, bringing all her jewelry. She smiled triumphantly and told me, "These are made of gold. Very valuable. They can be exchanged for military pay." I was stunned for a moment. I thought of the carriages and provisions from my past life. So this is how they came about. Cui Ning has also been reborn. During our days in the Northwest, she was very dependent on me and also took good care of me. The young girl was afraid of blood, but she still mustered up courage and applied medicine with trembling hands. After the battle, meeting her anxious gaze, even though my wounds hurt badly, but I subconsciously wanted to reassure her. I had truly regarded her as family all along. Zhou Huaishu must have treated her poorly in his past life. I clearly remembered the fear and timidity in her eyes when facing Zhou Huaishu. When I heard that Zhou Huaishu had been captured, a strange feeling crept into my heart. I deliberately delayed and let him get injured, as revenge for Ning. But I didn't expect that this guy might have damaged his mind. He actually said he should marry Ning. I used some tricks to completely cripple his legs. Marry a ghost. Ning is truly a good sister, worthy of being liked. But having too many people like her isn't good either. That kid Xie Zhan actually tried to use a favor to demand repayment from me. Forget it, as long as Ning is happy.